Hello, everybody, and welcome back to the episode of... I'm going to do that again. Shocking.
Nailed it.
Hello,
again.
everybody.
Yeah. Go.
Horrendous. Right. Hello, everybody, and welcome back to episode 145 of the Everything Moto Racing podcast. I hope you are well, as always. I'm joined by Cameron and Lauren.
Hello.
Hello.
Hello. Welcome back.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Yeah.
It's nice to have a full squad, as always.
Welcome back.
Welcome back.
Well, yeah, people have not listened to us potentially for a week, so...
A whole week. So
I don't
much has
know.
happened.
I honestly don't know how we go a whole week without speaking to each other, to be honest.
Me neither, to be honest.
Yeah, every week this comes around and I'm like, man, these guys again. How
I've
did I
missed these guys. No, I'm kidding.
Yeah,
like a hole in the head. Anyway.
something like that.
Yeah. But yeah, it's Sasha Ring has just gone.
Yes.
And I guess we'll start with the earliest thing was that Alex Marquez was officially confirmed for not only 2025 but 2026 as well.
I mean,
I'm not mad about that. Genuinely, not mad.
yeah, like I'm not mad. I'm kind of not anything in a way.
No,
Yeah, I'm not, like,
indifferent to it.
thrilled. I'm not like jumping for joy from the news, but I mean, it's pretty. I don't know. It's just a bit like, yeah.
It was kind of like, it was expected that to happen.
I
anything.
kind of didn't though. I thought Alex was maybe going to be punted because the competitiveness for the Ducati seats this year, well, next year, is increased. And I thought Alex has been doing okay. He is in, what's it? This is his third year on that Ducati? Second year on that Ducati. To have gotten like a couple of podiums.
Sprint wins.
So, yeah, last year.
Yeah.
It's not really been close to any kind of win this year. Like, great.
10th in the championship.
Yeah, well, yeah, you know what?
It's kind of where you expect it, you know?
Yeah, but then also, like, 10th in the championship, there's 6 Ducatis. Even a year-old Ducati is still probably the best, one of the best bikes on the grid. I feel like they'd really be looking for someone higher than 10th in the championship.
But then you
I
look
don't know.
at everybody else in the top 10 championship. Bagnaia, Martin, Marquez, Bastianini, Vinales, Acosta, Binder, Digia, probably as soon as today, Aleix are all signed up already.
Yeah, that's a good point. They've kind of... Ducati have gotten rid of a lot of their riders. And,
I think they have to sign Alex Marquez. I think until this weekend, maybe performances have been a little bit lackluster this year. A little bit. But I think when you're competing against your brother, who is Marc Marquez, of course he's going to be overshadowed, which unfortunately for Alex has sort of been the story of his life. People always go to Marc rather than Alex, but I think it's actually a smart move for Gresini, to be honest. I think the relationship there seems to be really strong and they value Alex Marquez a lot. And I think take Marc out of the equation, which obviously is the case for next year, they value Alex and they value his opinion and they value his input in the team. And I think actually moving forward, with the chance that they probably will sign Firmino Daguerre next year, I think it's actually a smart move in having experience on the bike in Alex Marquez and then bringing in Firmino Daguerre, rookie, no experience on the GP bike, and then probably give Alex Marquez one of the GP 25s that are up for offer next year. And, that's a little bit of like, you stay with us for another 2 years, because Ducati have got rid of, and unintentionally got rid of a lot of their up-and-coming talent, because
they have.
all these bikes don't go into one, it doesn't, you can't all get a factory seat. So to me, they've probably enticed Alex Marquez in by the offer of a 25 bike, a nice rookie teammate, good paycheck, possibly Lewis Hamilton paying his bills next year. So,
Cool. It's a bit of consistency for them as well, right? Because what's really remaining the same for Ducati next year in terms of teams and bikes? And
VR46 will stay.
Yeah, but then the rider's on there. I mean, possibly Digia. But
Well, the only rider so far that is staying as is officially confirmed is Pecco, because obviously Mark's moving over. Digi will move. Well, no, Digi's staying where he's put, but obviously he'll move up to a GP25 potentially. I mean, he's jumping from a 23 to a 25. Marquez will jump 23, 25 as well. So having that consistency of having riders who know the 23 and end up into the 25 helps a lot. I also think with Alex, firstly, I want to say his racing CV precedes him. He's a two-time world champion.
Oh, yeah, for sure. Yeah.
The talent, there's no question of his talent. It's not like he was shoehorned in there. It's not like, nepotism or anything like that. But I do think having a brother in the factory Ducati team will help him slightly retain his seat, because Marquez will be able to have a word and go, give Alex a seat.
Well, that's always going to be the case. No offense.
And that's fine. That's fine. Honestly, that's fine.
But I don't think that Alex Marquez, in this whole being Marc Marquez's brother, I don't ever really think that he's had to pull that before. To be honest, I always think in MotoGP,
Honda
maybe, but I think that he's been able to pull performances out of the bag when they're needed. Like, albeit that Repsol Honda year that he had was pretty terrible.
With two podiums,
he did all right.
As a rookie, may I add.
Mm-hmm. Well, he was out of the seat for the next year before it even started. So to finish that season the way that he did, all things considered, he did good. And then he went to Gresini first before Mark even thought about a Ducati. So, he's there on merit already before his brother even got involved. So for them to sign him for another 2 years, makes sense. It's nothing to do with Mark in that case. I think, of course, if they wanted to, they probably could be like, we want this to be a part of our contract sort of thing. You employ both of us if they had to. But I really don't think that's the case with the Marquez brothers, because you're right. Alex is in MotoGP on his own merit. He was fantastic in the lower classes. Absolutely fantastic. So it makes sense.
Well, that's it. Like, you don't get there just by virtue of having a brother or sibling or whatever in a factory squad, because you got two Binder brothers.
True.
That, Brad's been factory KTM for ever now, really. And, he wasn't able to sweet talk KTM into taking a chance on Darren after like Yamaha let him go or anything. You got to earn it, and that's.
I mean, Darren did get a shot in KTM Rebel squad years ago, but it lasted 1 year, and that was it really. 2017, I think that was, something like that. But that's it, and then
still got to earn it after that.
I mean, Darren is part of the Pyro group now, still, which is owned by KTM. But I don't know if Brad had any influence in that. I think that was just, we'll give you a seat if you want it, kind of thing. But yeah, I don't think Alex has got that seat via Mark at all. I do think it would help to have Mark there in the Factory Ducati squad, but I think Alex and his talents have given him that seat regardless of anything. And for 2 more years shows Gresini's belief in Alex as well. And I think it's good to have him in the squad. I think he's a very good rider, and if anybody, as we've gone through the kind of standings earlier, I can't see anybody else that they would have gone for. You look lower with Miguel Oliveira, Fernandez, Jack Miller, maybe Miller, and Oliveira was in talks with Gresini a few years ago, but again, there's 2 seats. Alex deserves one of them, I think, and getting a podium at Sachsenring just backs it up.
I think as well the reaction of the podium at Sachsenring tells you everything you need to know about the relationship between him and Gresini. Like, they celebrated like they'd won the championship, and it was brilliant to see. And of course, having the 2 brothers on the podium was just like the cherry on top of the cake. So a double podium is, it was a really good weekend, and they value him. I think that's the biggest thing. Like Nadia Padovani had the biggest smile on her face watching that podium, and I think she does fantastic at running that team. So I wouldn't put her down at making a silly mistake or just signing a rider for the sake of signing a rider. Her rider picks in the last couple of years have been pretty top notch. Well, I trust her in this one.
I think if you go back to their MotoGP lineups: Enea Bastianini, Fabio Di Gia, then Fabio Di Gia and Alex Marquez, and then Marc Marquez and Alex Marquez. All of those riders have won either a sprint, apart from Marc, obviously, a sprint or a main race in Gresini colours. Marquez has yet to do that, obviously, but come on, it's Marc Marquez.
Yeah, he's got loads of podiums.
It's only a matter of time.
He's got loads of podiums, and that's worth something.
Yeah, exactly. Nadia knows what she's doing. But yeah, and then obviously on to Di Gia. Di Gia has signed a contract. It's believed to be VR46. He was in talks with Pramac Yamaha and Factory Yamaha, but it came out late last week that Alex Rins, not officially confirmed, will stay with Yamaha for 2025 and 2026.
Nice.
Which is good.
Yep.
I like that. I've got a lot of silly season rumours now for you.
Oh,
the Pramac Yamaha.
Pramaha, if you will.
Pramaha.
Yeah, Pramaha, yeah.
Thank you.
So, Manuel Gonzalez was wanted by Gresini to replace Marc Marquez. With Furman in the picture, it's unlikely. Because Manu still has Yamaha ties, Pramac Yamaha could sign Manu Gonzalez or Alonso Lopez, is what I have been told. Again, please take all these with a pinch of salt, everything I'm about to say. But, yeah, Lopez or Manu.
Wasn't Manu with... Am I going mental, or was Manu with the Master Camp Yamaha?
Last year.
Last year.
That's why I'm saying he's got ties with them, yeah.
Yeah. That would make sense.
Yeah, and I wouldn't be mad about that one.
No.
The other side of the garage is still a bit mysterious. I mean, Remy Gardner did a pretty good job of proving that he potentially deserves a spot in MotoGP.
Absolutely, I'd back that.
I mean, what a weekend for Remy, though. Did you see?
Never stepped on the bike.
Yeah, I mean, he had a pretty darn good weekend at Sachsenring himself, and while he was away off in Sachsenring, bloody Valentino Rossi was riding his bike.
Unbelievable.
And like
Cool.
a
said
track
it was like the
day or
biggest
something.
honour
I
of
don't
his
know.
life.
Like what was going on, but that was mental. Remy said he pretty much cried when he seen the pictures because Valentino ran it with the 87 on the front. Like he says he's going to take the seat off the bike and keep it and everything. He's like, I want that bike now to sit in my living room and never be touched again. But yeah, it was pretty darn good weekend. I'd love to see him back in MotoGP, and maybe that's started a few conversations after having not a bad weekend.
He looked good.
No,
he looked good on the bike.
Did.
He didn't look like a fish out of water whatsoever. No.
He had a good first 20 laps. He said he had an issue with the bike after 20 laps, but he did very good. He didn't look out of place. He wasn't way off the pace at all. He beat Bradl, which is pretty good in itself.
Yeah.
And out-qualified Mir, I believe, as well. So
really? Wow.
I believe so. Oh, no, he didn't. He qualified last, but in some sessions he was definitely ahead of Mir. So he's done a pretty good job. And yeah, I really rate Remy for that. So potentially Remy into Pramac Yamaha. Jack Miller maybe, who also said that if he doesn't get a seat, he will just be out. He will leave, Jack. Potentially retirement.
Well, here's
is what
the
I could take
thing.
from that.
With that, I could potentially see a switch between maybe Remy Gardner and like Jack Miller or something like that. Maybe not out and out Yamaha to Yamaha, but like Jack might step into World Superbikes. Although I've been hearing on Twitter rumours of he's feeling quite homesick at the minute.
Yeah, that's why. Because like from what I've heard, he said that if he stops riding or doesn't get a seat, he'll just stop. Which
that's a shame.
It is a shame, but in the same way, I don't blame him. You know, you only get to see your daughter grow up once.
Yeah.
And I think there comes a point where it's, for some riders, it's like, yeah, I've got a kid and I'm still racing around the world, and that's fine. For other riders, I think family time becomes a lot more important to them.
Well, is his family in Australia?
Yeah. I believe they're based in Australia, yeah.
It makes it
I
harder
could be wrong.
still, doesn't it? It's not like just nipping home from Italy to Spain for a weekend or for a week.
I don't know where Ruby lives. Yeah, is it Ruby Miller? Yeah. Andorra and Australia, yeah. So,
yeah, I'm not sure where they're permanently based, but with a young child like that, I mean, you can't be expecting to travel, do all the races and doing this, that and the other. So you're right, like, you can't just nip home to Australia. I think he did actually go home to Australia in that last 3-week break there. So
yeah,
possibly,
he was in Queensland.
Possibly
in May,
the family are still based based there, which would make a lot of sense in the feeling of homesickness, because his daughter's not very old, so it's a lot. And it's not like he got married that long ago either, so it's a very young family, and you want to be there, and you want to be seeing those sorts of things. So I'm not surprised that they're probably having those conversations. But maybe that's why I'm saying World Superbikes would suit a bit better. The calendars,
it's like a month
more
between
spread out.
races.
yeah, a lot more spread out. I know you have 3 races in a weekend, but your time off is definitely your time off, and you're able to sort of spend more time with your family, etc. So maybe that sort of calendar setup would suit someone like Jack Miller a lot better.
Yeah, like a bit of a compromise. It's not hanging it up, but he's getting a lot more time. Yeah, I don't know. I think if he isn't in MotoGP next year, he might look back on it in a few years and think, do you know what? Actually, that was a blessing. That was the best thing to happen. Possibly, I'm sure he'd rather have been world champion, but you know, maybe it'd be the right thing.
Yeah, and only Miller knows that, I think.
Yeah.
And that's nothing against Jack or anything like that. You can definitely see his performances have dropped since his daughter was born. And honestly, like, we are no one to speak about that at all. Like, at the end of the day, it's between him and his family and stuff like that. And if they have dropped because of his daughter, they've dropped because of his daughter. You know, sometimes when you have more things to look out for in life and prioritize, the things you used to prioritize aren't as important. And I think his daughter having a father to come home to because he's, you know, not riding 100% might be a bit more important to him, I guess.
Yeah.
It's like Glenn Owen, isn't it? Glenn Owen didn't do a TT because of his kids.
Yeah.
Stopped doing a TT.
I mean,
so.
that it's got to be respected in that sense. Glenn made it very clear. He went round, he did what he did at the TT, and he can hold his hands up and go, I've rode around the TT, I'm a fastest newcomer, boom, that's it, I'm done with that.
Yeah.
He still does
totally.
a bit of roads, whatever, but you have to respect the same way as a MotoGP rider, or any bike rider for that matter, week in, week out. What they do is mental. And yeah, if that is what's going on in Jack's mind, when you're a rider, you need to be 100% in racing, and when your head's not in it, you know yourself that it's better to just call it quits than to try and make something work when it's clearly not working. But yeah, like you said, Deck, we can only assume that that's maybe what is going on. But I mean, the bike itself doesn't seem to be performing as good as it was. Everyone seems to be struggling.
Even Pedro's struggling now,
Exactly.
Yeah.
So there's a lot to be said at KTM itself, that I think things aren't going 100% there. So if you even take Jack's home life out of it, the fact that he hasn't got a seat with KTM for the next year to try and help make improvements, you're going to feel a bit bitter about it, because you're going, why would I want to do that when these improvements are only going to probably come in next year when I'm not here?
Yeah.
You know, I don't owe you guys anything, sort of thing. We'll see out our contract and that'll be that. So it's probably very, very hard for him at the minute to try and help find solutions for a bike that he's not actually going to be able to reap the rewards on.
Yeah, exactly. And, you know, motivation is everything. And if there aren't many motivations, then you're not going to really want to put your neck on the line. And again, that's nothing against Jack, because his, you know, everybody you hear about his work ethic and the dedication he puts into his racing is incredible, like spectacular. And that's honestly nothing against Jack, because, you know, he works hard. He's a very hard-working rider, and, you know, if he does hang up his boots at the end of the season, he's not exactly going to bow out and go, I wish I'd done that, because, you know, he's achieved a podium over 3 manufacturers, wins with 2 different manufacturers, runner-up in Moto3 a few years ago.
Yeah, it was hardly a flop, you know.
Yeah, he's a very good rider at the end of the day, and he got to ride for 2 factory teams as well. Not many people could say that. But we will see with Jack. But obviously, from what is being said in the media, it seems like if he can't get a seat, then that will be it. And I hope that's not the case, because I would like to see him on a World Superbike grid, because he's pretty darn fast on that V4R when he goes to the bend, and wouldn't mind seeing that.
Yeah.
So We shall see, because if Alvaro Bautista retires, there's a spot
don't.
open at the Aruba Racing
Oh
squad.
my goodness.
You're teasing us now.
I know, because I'm sure Ducati would have him back.
Yeah.
In terms of just relations point
That's
of
it.
view. Yeah.
He's good PR.
He is
He's
great
very
PR.
good PR.
Yeah.
Yeah, he is. He's great.
What?
But
Yeah, that's a bee in my bonnet now.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Miller.
I'll give you a little bit of information randomly about what's like. Tommy Bridewell said it on the Off Track podcast, so that's the source.
Right.
Said the top bracket is getting 1.2 million a year pay.
How would Tommy Bridewell know that?
People talk in racing. People talk. I mean, if it's true, I wouldn't be surprised. Let's be real. But yeah, people do talk in racing. You'd be surprised at what people know about other people within racing.
I don't know how out of touch I am where I'm like, yeah, it deserves that. That sounds like a good
Well, it's
salary.
higher than a lot. It's higher than a lot of MotoGP riders. I believe. I'm not going to name the name, but there is a rider who was offered for 2025 in MotoGP 1 million a year, and they're a race winner in MotoGP. So for top brackets to get even more than a MotoGP race winner is.
Listen, you know, it's all BMW have to spend their money on, and they sell a lot of bikes.
True.
I mean, it doesn't surprise me. And to be fair, I'd say Top Brag's worth it.
I would. Well, look what he's done. He's brought them wins. And
he's leading the championship.
It's an investment, if anything. I think.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
they sell a lot of bikes. They sell a lot of cars.
Yeah.
And Red Bull are paying him bags.
Pay the man.
He's sorted. But yeah, I just thought I'd drop that tidbit of information. Could be wrong, but that's what Tommy said. So, you know, people do talk in these circles. So
fine with me.
Yeah,
no problem at all. Carry on, Top Rack.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's not an offensive amount of money for me for Top Rack.
I'd take it. I wouldn't be mad.
No, like if he was getting paid buttons, I'd be like in uproar. I'd be like, that's ridiculous.
What?
And if he was getting paid like tens of millions, I'd be like, all right, he's maybe not that worth it. Like, they could be spending their money in more development side of things, but
they could have a bike on the GP grid for that kind of
thing. Exactly.
Yeah.
But I'd believe it.
Yeah. Next.
So, thanks, Tommy.
Do you want some Moto 2 and Moto 3 silly season rumours?
Go on then.
Yeah.
Go on then.
So, again, pinch of salt, please. But the biggest one, I think, at the moment is David Munoz with intact GP next year.
Cool.
His teammate was spotted, potential teammate, shall we say, was on Sunday after the Moto3 race, spotted walking out of their hospitality. So take it as you will, but Tayo Furusato was spotted walking out of the intact GP hospitality.
Oh, yeah. Yes.
Again,
we need to get video podcast going for Cameron's reaction
Cameron
to
is
that.
Just buzzing right now.
I love the kid, honestly.
He is great. Salach will stay at VDS as they switch over to the Bosco Scuro.
Cool.
His teammate is... I'm just trying to think now, because I do know it. So...
Careful.
I was thinking about Aegis. I heard somebody say about Aegis that would be pretty good, but the latest rumor is Ayagura.
Come on.
But again, silly season.
To where? The thing is, VDS.
Yeah.
Why?
Go to bloody MotoGP, mate.
I know. This is the thing though with silly season, and this is why you have to take it with a pinch of salt. Because on Friday it's one thing, Saturday it's something else, and on Sunday it's completely different again. So things do change very fast, but these are what was the talk at the Sasha Ring at the weekend, shall we say.
I can't figure out why I would move again. And
I think
he wants to win a Moto2 World Championship. That's his... Yeah. And he literally spoke to Neil Hodgson a couple of rounds ago, can't remember when it was, but the interview was wild. He does not give one single care towards MotoGP. He is all in on Moto2. And they talked about it afterwards. They were like, we don't get it. We don't understand. But he is so focused, and that's his main goal, like in life, full stop, is to win the Moto2 Championship.
Yeah, but like, if you told me that he was on the empty helmets bike again next year, I'd be like, that's the title favorite right there.
He could win the title this year. What?
Well,
like,
yeah.
what?
Yeah.
What if you sign for bloody...
Do a Zarco,
yeah. And then...
win 2 titles, and then go up.
Like-
Because he doesn't want the Honda. That's the thing.
Right,
Yeah,
so
he's
go
like-
ask someone else for a ride. Like, I'm sure there's some doors open.
Tayo
it's
is
interesting
gonna Fursato is gonna leapfrog this dude into that Honda MotoGP seat.
I think
Mark my words.
Sancho.
MT helmets have to open up a spot because Ivan Otola is likely to be promoted. He's already tested the bike. He's likely to be promoted into
Okay.
Moto2 with
Yeah.
the MT squad. They need to open a spot. And if one of the riders is not wearing the helmet of the brand that's sponsoring the team, it causes an issue.
Oh.
Whereas, because obviously a guy, Ayagura, wears an Arai helmet, even though it's an MT helmets team,
That's a good point.
that causes an issue commercially.
Yeah.
Whereas if Ivan Otola steps in with Sergio Garcia, both Spanish riders are wearing a Spanish helmet, it kind of makes a bit more sense.
It do.
Yeah, Ivan's got good backing too with the whole quadrant.
Yeah, Lando Norris.
Yeah, sponsorship. So, I mean, it makes a lot of sense. But in my head, just go to MotoGP, Ayagura. Like, because that's one that I worry in 10 years' time or when he retires, he's going to go, why did I not do that? Like, what possessed me to think that all I could achieve was Moto 2?
Yeah. That's it. It's
I
mad.
don't know. It is mad.
But then where does that leave
Well-
Tony Arbolino? Answer me that question. I'm worried.
Well, that next thing I was going to say, Grassini, Moto2.
Oh, okay.
Okay.
Again, please take all these as a pinch of salt, for the love of God. But yes, Grassini Moto2 is the talk at the moment.
I mean, that would be good in
Um,
terms of promotion.
Yeah,
Possibly
agree.
Yeah,
after
it's a
Alex
path.
Marquez, maybe, or
yeah.
depending on who actually does get that second seat. We're just assuming it's Fermin Aldeguer, but you know, maybe not.
A kind of solid one is Ralph Fernandez likely to stay at Trackhouse, so there he was spotted that weekend chatting with Yamaha. So we'll see about that one. If Fermin Aldeguer,
Aldeguer.
that was terrible, wasn't it?
I like it
If
better.
Fermin doesn't perform or Ducati go, you know what, we don't want you anymore. So I've been told is that his buyout clause is €300,000.
It's pennies, isn't it?
God, that
Again.
is pennies.
Yeah, for Ducati.
Yeah.
Via
What about him?
is in talks with Io, but apparently there
Ooh.
are a lot of politics going on, so it's unlikely to go ahead.
Too many Red Bull riders in Moto 3 that'll want that seat. That's why.
True. A big one, David Alonso, obviously likely to step up to Moto2 next year with Aspar at the expense of Dixon, who likely, or not likely, don't say likely, but I've been informed will replace Barry Baltus at RW. So Dixon to
Right.
RW, Baltus out of RW.
And then Baltus where?
No idea. I do have a photo of Ralph Fernandez talking with Yamaha as well. It's not even like it's a thing. I have an actual photo of Ralph talking to them.
I don't like that
obviously,
Dixon one.
No, it's a weird one, isn't it?
Yeah.
I mean, yes,
Obviously-
for Alonso,
Yeah.
but I honestly, no offense to Izan Guevara, he's not doing it for me. So out you go.
Yeah.
I think I'd agree.
American Racing are confirmed with Marcos Ramirez.
Yeah.
Yep.
And did a very cringy huck to announcement.
Oh, God.
I was like,
I mean, yeah, it was a choice.
Yeah, it was a choice. That
The
is
thing,
true.
if you're going to go with meme marketing, you got to be on the latest thing. You can't,
Yeah.
you know, if it's 3 weeks old, it's
Yeah,
irrelevant.
well, she's got a documentary coming out, hasn't she?
Do you know
That's
she's from
perfect.
Belfast?
Yeah,
In
Belfast in
whatever,
America, yeah.
Tennessee or something.
Wild.
She said that, and I'm like, sorry, what?
It's like, what?
It's as if
I
we
was
colonized.
Yeah.
Gosh.
God, I know.
Anyway.
And the final rumor I've got is that Bo, because neither of them got a seat, on rider next year because Munoz intact, and then MTA have signed Kelso.
Yes.
Have signed a rider. I can't disclose the name, I'm sorry. Said rider isn't old enough to race in Moto3 next year and requires a dispensation of finishing the top 3 of the rookies or top 3 of Junior GP to compete next year. So they signed a pre-contract with them.
Ooh. That's cryptic. Are they currently in the top 3?
I can't say.
Come on.
But yeah.
Yeah,
So-
just between us 3 and
And the listeners.
the six people listening. Yeah.
But yeah, that's... Oh, and one more is that they require money, but apparently Ogden's in talk with some KTM teams, but they require a bit of cash, like CIP, MTA kind of teams.
All right.
But again,
Okay.
they need cash.
Can see that. Ogden has stepped up his social media recently.
Yeah, he's probably hired a social media manager or
Yeah.
something.
He's definitely stepped that up. And to be fair, he's stepped up his on-track performance this weekend. So
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'd like to see it. I like Scott Ogden, and I think
I don't think the Honda's for him. He was
No.
very good on the Aspar bike. He won
Yeah.
a race on the Aspar bike. I think he's wasted on a Honda,
I think
the MLAV Honda.
yeah, I think that's the problem, and I really want to give him the benefit of the doubt. Don't ask me why. I've really warmed to Scott Ogden over the years, and I do think he's
I do
been
like
pretty
Scott.
hard done by. And knowing that cash is king in this younger or the feeder series, that I'm sort of just like, come on, give him a chance, put him on a good bike
Yeah.
and see what he
Just
can
give him
do.
1
And if he
year.
doesn't, he doesn't. But I just want to give him that opportunity.
I agree. He needs to be on a KTM. I've said it for years. He needs that KTM. I don't... No, it's nothing against the MLAV, but
No.
the MLAV bikes have never performed very well. I don't know if that's a bike issue because they did have a lot of teething issues at the start.
As Scott let us
Watley-
know. Yeah.
Yes, he did. Joshua Watley, I think 3 years. Some riders do 1 year and do as well as he did, and they're out. And he's had 3 years, so I don't think Watley should stay. I think get to do a share on the bike. Eddie would do a pretty good job, I think.
Agreed.
Yeah, I think it's time for the younger generation of British talent now to get a chance. I think Scott and Josh were the best 2 options at the
At
time.
the time, Josh wasn't ready. I'll stand by that.
No, I think
no one else
I
could
think
have
it was hard. I think it was hard for both of them. They really did both get thrown in at the deep end in that case. But yeah, I mean, look at the sponsorship on the bike, etc. There's no vision track on board
So
anymore.
weird.
It's very difficult, I think, for them this year. So in saying that, look at the likes of Scott trying to up his social media game and stuff like that. It's clear to see that he's shopping around. But yeah, I think for Michael Laverty as well, he's got younger riders now that are going to be of age. Let's give them a chance and see what you can sort of bring on board with that. And yeah, it's time to take a step in a new direction, I think, for the MLAV team.
Yeah, and at the end of the day,
Get KTM as well.
Marco Morelli is doing very
Yeah.
well for the MLAV squad. He's winning the Red Bull Rookies. He's winning the ATC as well. So I really am quite impressed by him. I know he's from Argentina, but he's doing really well. And so maybe he could slot in at some point. It's a shame Casey O'Gorman left the team, but that opens up a better door, I think, for Casey to step in a top team when he is ready, because he's very good. But then you've got obviously Maxi Keeles, you've got Pini as well, who are just excelling. So there's a lot of talent waiting in the wings to come up, fighting for a top 3 spot to get a dispensation as well. I think Maximo Keeles will probably get it. He was banned at Assen, didn't race, so he did drop a lot of points because of his move at Mugello.
Oh dear.
Yeah, but you need to learn these things, so I'm glad he's getting
You do.
penalties like that now.
Yeah, exactly.
So that he
instead of
doesn't
in a few years.
so that he doesn't bring that sort of behaviour into Moto 3, hopefully.
David Munoz.
Well, there's a lot of them, because about 8 million of them all got penalties at the weekend.
Oh, it was mental, wasn't it?
So
Yeah.
I could not believe it.
don't
Yeah.
even.
No, but onto MotoGP,
Oh yeah,
the main talk
that
of the
thing
show.
we're here to talk
35
about.
minutes in.
Yeah.
Ah, yes.
Jorge Martin, man, what are you doing, bro?
It's giving 2023. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, bottled it again.
Yeah, from the lead, loses the front. Pecco's putting on pressure from behind. That throws 25 points away to
And lose the
Pecco.
championship lead.
Yeah.
And the thing is, it's kind of why I like the pair of Pecco and Martin. Both of them are exceptional on their day. Pecco, at the moment, when Pecco is in form, he is untouchable. He's won 4 in a row now. He wasn't even trying that much hard at Sachsenring because he knew he could put the pressure on and keep the pressure on, and potentially Martin could crack. But Pecco always has a crash in him, even on the last lap of the race.
Yeah.
So does Martin, and it always keeps it interesting because it's like, yes, Pecco and Martin, outstanding riders, very prone to a crash. And that always, for me, you don't know until that flag. Like Jorge Lorenzo, for example, how often did he crash out of a lead? Incredibly rarely. And it was often not his fault. Whereas these two, and yeah, Bagnaia leads the championship by 10 points at the moment.
Yep.
In Silverstone, Bagnaia could do the same thing that Martin did. I mean, even Simon Crafar said it in the interview. He said, you know what it's like to crash in these positions as well. How is he feeling, kind of thing.
Yeah.
So
I'm annoyed with Jorge Martin. That's all
Yeah.
I've got to say. I don't know what was going through his head. Although he came out and was pretty raw in some after race interviews and has said, now this has happened on multiple occasions. I clearly have an issue in the last couple laps of the race. I've made this mistake now, I think it's 3 times. So I need to address it, and I need to figure out what is going wrong in
pressure.
in the last remaining laps. And yeah, he's right, and I'm glad he's addressed it. I'm glad he can hold his hands up and go, I am clearly lacking something in those latter
Yeah.
stages. But like, Pecco was applying the pressure. Martin was maintaining the gap, which is
Yeah.
the thing. In
Yeah.
my head, I was going, he is controlling this fantastically. Because when you see Pecco out in front and someone applying pressure from behind, Pecco usually does leave a little bit left in the tank to be able to go and pull the gap back out again. Whereas Jorge Martin was just maintaining it at like 0.7 of a second. He was sort of just consistently keeping there. He didn't seem to have anything extra, but I thought he was controlling it very well. And then to just crash out the way that he did, I'm really surprised by it, even though he has made mistakes in the past this year of crashing out from the front. This week in particular really surprised me that he made that mistake, knowing how good he is around the Sachsenring, knowing how good he was in the sprint on Saturday.
Yeah.
I'm a bit confused by the whole thing, and it's not good in the summer break.
It's bad because it weighs on him for 3 weeks.
Exactly.
Yes. Yeah.
I think he needs to see a sports therapist because and how to manage the pressure and the expectations. Like, to take it back, I know I've said this ages ago on the podcast, and it's obviously not relatable in the slightest, but it is in some way as well. It's not relatable in the scale. The scale's completely different. But when I used to do a bit of sim racing, and you're racing online, you're racing against other people, and you're using the pedals and the steering wheel and all that, and you're driving along and you're leading the race. For me, heart rate 200, and I'm making mistakes every corner. People are chasing me and stuff like that. And you're overthinking everything to a degree you can't even imagine. Right, for me, that is unbelievably stressful. And anybody who's sim raced competitively would probably be able to, or even just race in general, would know that. I remember when Joe Roberts won at Portimao, and he was like, I was going wide every corner, making mistakes every corner. And then you throw it into MotoGP, where the speed's, it's real for one. You're actually riding the bike.
Yeah.
And you're having to think about your braking markers every corner and your gears every corner. And Pecco's there waiting in the wings, and you're leading the championship, and one mistake will weigh on your mind. One mistake and I'm losing this championship lead. Pecco's right there. That, and then, we call maybe call Martin a donkey sometimes for crashing or whatever, but that pressure, I can't even imagine how heavy that would weigh on his shoulders. And I think employing a sports therapist like Fabio did, like many other riders have done, because Fabio crashed his brains out in 2020, worked with a sports therapist, the year after, world champion. And I think Martin just needs to sit down with a therapist and work out healthy ways of managing that pressure in a way that allows him to not break the rhythm in his head and cause a crash. Because you look at the GOATs and the aliens of Rossi, of Pedrosa, of Stoner, of Marc Marquez and Jorge Lorenzo, they don't crash often from the lead because they can manage the pressure. It was only when Rossi got a bit older, I remember Sepang 2018, when Marquez took 4 tenths out of him in a lap and Rossi crashed at T1.
Yeah.
Because he wasn't used to that pressure because of how many years of not having that around him. And so he made that mistake. And I think Martin, if he's going to want to contend for a championship, needs to have better ways of managing that. Pecco makes mistakes as well. But Pecco's also won the last 2 world championships and the last 4 races in a row and hasn't stacked out of P1. Well, he did a Catalonia sprint, but it's not main race.
Well, that's the thing. Pecco has the confidence on his side at the minute. And Pecco has to have spoken to somebody about how he is cracked under pressure before, because he is able to get himself into that mindset and do this dominant thing where he has now won 4 races in a row. But at the start of the season, if you told me he was going to win 4 races in a row, I would have laughed at you and been like, no, Pecco's going to do exactly what he does every year and just like start throwing it away, etc., etc. But I don't know. It makes it very hard to comment on, because we know Pecco can do exactly the same thing as what Jorge Martin has just done. He's going through this period of just completely crumbling under pressure, but we've also seen Jorge Martin maybe not win 4 races in a row, but get into that dominant headset and win races and go home with 37 points, winning the sprint and the main race. So it's interesting to see that they've sort of flipped from the start of the season, and Pecco is now in that dominant headspace, and Martin is in the headspace of, oh my god, like, what am I doing here? What am I doing here? And I think the hard thing is that yes, he's now got 3 weeks to sit on that and go, I am the biggest idiot ever. I've just lost however many points. I'm now 10 points behind. But on the flip side, he's now also got 3 weeks to get himself back in the winning mentality and go, no, I am better than this, and I still have a fight in this championship. You know, we're not even halfway through the season. I know we see the summer break as sort of the halfway point, but with the amount of points that are still up for grabs, I think he needs to use this summer break wisely. Pecco's got a wedding to think about, which is, you know, fantastic for him. He's going in with this, great, I'm leading the championship and I'm now going to go get married. I'm going to have the best summer ever. Jorge Martin can use this to his advantage and focus solely on coming to Silverstone 100% ready. So it'll be interesting to see when we get to Silverstone who's made the changes, because if Pecco goes out and wins in Silverstone, I'd be saying it's going to be hard. He's going to be hard to beat,
especially with Austria and Aragon following that as well, and Mazzano.
Yeah, and then so you've got the flyaways, which he's good at. So
so you've got the next 4 races. Silverstone, Pecco can win that easy. Austria, Aragon, he beat Marc Marquez in a straight battle at Aragon, and then Mazzano, his home round. These next 4 rounds, Pecco could really pull away. There's 407 points left on the table. There's only 10 points between them, but Martin needs some consistency now. And I think Martin has come out of the blocks running. You know, this year he's gone, I lost championship last year, I need to win it. He's come out of those blocks running. He had a massive lead at one point and he's tripped up because he's running too fast and he's got ahead of himself and he's just
he's got gassed
stumbled.
A bit.
Yeah, and I think he needs to pick himself back up, dust himself off, and chase the leader now. And that's going to be hard to do with Pecco doing what he's doing now. I think Sachsenring was an interesting one because a certain Marc Marquez's weekend was kind of... He shouldn't have been in Q1 anyway, I'm just going to say. I mean, he did have that monster crash. This is the thing I've thought all year about Marc Marquez. Every time there's been an opportunity, his luck has just gone, nope. And
yeah.
he had that T11 crash, bruised his ribs, broke a finger as well. Obviously, puts him on the back foot instantly. Has to go via Q1. Then Bradl slows him down on the last lap.
Yeah,
and you're like,
that was
Yeah, and gets
almost
a
intentional.
three-place grid drop for Stefan Bradl, who started second to last.
Yeah.
Or was meant to
And you're
start
like,
second to last. Like, oh, that pissed me off too.
Yeah, and so then Marquez is 13th, and so then he's got the job of battling through the pack again. The fact that he managed to finish second is superb.
I think it shows you that he would have won the race, no problems, if he had managed to qualify where he should have qualified. I think the crashes, yes, did not help, but the way he rode that bike on Sunday, I think it would have been night-night to Jorge Martin and Pecco Bagnaia.
Potentially, yeah. And
yeah, I think if the rest of the weekend had gone his way for sure, like without the big crash and just more laps, more data, and obviously without bruised ribs and
I honestly think if Bradl hadn't gotten his way, that's all that I think that is what ruined his weekend, was not getting into Q2.
That was definitely the nail in the coffin, I think. For sure.
Yeah, I'd agree with that one. But yeah, it's going to be interesting now, I think, with Pecco and Martin
I'm kind of
how it goes.
I'm upset that it has become kind of a 2-horse race and we're not halfway through. I kind of hoped it would be a little bit closer, because even last year with Bez, you know, like things were a little bit closer between the top 3 last year for a lot longer, whereas now it's, I mean, sure, Marquez is 56 points behind Martin, which is a lot. It's not insurmountable, but it would require
Pecco.
Yeah, exactly. Like, obviously, Pecco's come back from a bigger deficit in 2022.
91.
Yeah.
With no sprint races.
But that did require his opponent to be on a Yamaha and crumble anyway. It would require bad luck on Martin and Bagnaia's part and Marquez to just kind of start winning everything to claw that back, I think.
Yeah.
Well, it'll be interesting, like you say, to see how the momentum swings, if it keeps in Pecco's favour or if Martin can do the Pecco thing and start building the pressure from second place, if you will.
I think Jorge Martin needs to take this summer break as like a factory reset.
Yeah.
And it's only 10 points. I think he needs to go into Silverstone thinking we are equal. We're back to the start of the season and let's do this again, sort of thing. The issue with Martin that I can think about is the fact that he's not riding Ducati next year. He's going to be going through the exact same problem that we talked about earlier that Jack Miller's going to be going through. He's not getting any upgrades. All the upgrades are going Marc Marquez's way because they want him to be as ready for that GP25 as he possibly can be. Like, no offense to Jorge Martin, but they're like, Ducati just aren't going to care anymore about.
No.
Well, and for the fact that Pramac's not even Ducati next year, that's Yamaha. Like, Pramac are only going to get worse as the season goes on. So Jorge Martin's got a big uphill battle ahead of him, which you can maybe see why he performed the way he performed in the Saxon Ring. Like, that's going to be weighing on his mind too, knowing that the full factory support is pretty much gone.
Yeah. And it's kind of like a one-way thing now, isn't it? He gets Ducati data, I'm probably not going to get it back. Yeah. It's tricky. But with MotoGP, anything can happen. And, you know, Miguel Oliveira getting on the podium in a sprint race and Trackhouse on the front row as well just shows that you don't really know. You know, like, yeah, Pecco and Martin are likely to be there every weekend, but they could have injury. Like, God forbid, obviously, I don't want anyone to get injured or hurt and anything like that. Would hate for that to happen, but things like that can happen. Bikes can break, riders can crash. I think it's not over yet. You know, there's 407 points left. There's 11 races left.
Yeah,
I think that we're due some surprises, especially with Marquez maybe getting some more upgrades as well.
I think there's a lot of riders who could come into this second half of the season and sort of go, right, I need to do something here. I mean, Digia's been knocking on the door of getting onto the podium. I know this weekend's not the prime example. He ended up having a puncture, I think, actually.
Yeah.
But Alex Marquez getting on the podium. Pedro Costa's had a few off rounds. I expect him to come back later on in the season too, once he gets more feeling.
Bagnaia has got a win in him.
Exactly.
Frankie was battling for the win.
Frankie looked amazing. Like,
he was battling.
He was battling because I think he's sort of going, hey guys, I need a seat next
I'm here,
year.
by the way.
Yeah.
So I think there's a lot of people who have points to prove in the second half of the season too, which I hope makes it a bit more exciting, that it won't just be, yes, we'll have that 2-horse race for the championship, but you never know, someone might be able to introduce themselves into it if Pecco and Martin have a couple of off rounds. You never know.
I think so, yeah. It's going to be very interesting to see how it plays out.
Yeah, Silverstone's going to be good though. I'm already excited.
Yeah, I can't wait.
I hope it's sunny and warm.
Everyone has to start manifesting now that it's good weather and it's a good weekend of racing.
Oh, if it rains, I'm going to be gutted.
I'm the one that's camping. So.
True.
Oh yeah, I've got a hotel to stay in. Like, I'm not worried.
These bougie pair here getting a hotel each, and I was just like, let's bring the tent. I will have a van, to be fair, but
that's all right.
Yeah, you'd be
still,
fine.
It's not hotel stuff.
No, van life.
Van life, innit?
Right, shall we go on to... We'll talk about Moto2 and Moto3 quickly and then do predictions.
Sure.
I don't want to.
Furman, oh no, you don't. Furman Aldeguer, back on the top step of the podium, did have a tyre pressure investigation after the race, but was fine, thankfully. A lot of riders kind of showed their class. I think this track is a very good leveler, and talent prevailed, I think. You saw Chelsea Vietti on the front row, on pole, should I say, battling for a podium place with Diego Moreira, the rookie, as well, and Ayagura in there.
Senna Aegis had a good round.
Yeah.
Dixon was there. I was about to say Senna Aegis as well, who finished 11th at the end. I don't know what happened there. Joe Roberts. Yeah. I don't know how the hell Joe Roberts managed to do what he did with a broken collarbone.
Very impressive.
I think that proves again why he needs to get a seat in MotoGP next year.
Yeah, Trackhouse need to sort him out, I think.
Sort him out.
Sort him out, mate. Yeah, very, very impressed by him. Oh yeah, Luca Marini got his first point of the year, thanks to Augusto Fernandez getting demoted due to tyre pressure as well.
Wasn't it like three of them that
Zarco
got demoted? Yeah.
Jeez. Because Luca Marini was in 15th until the last corner when Nakagami was like, "See you later." And stole it.
Classic.
Yeah, that's tough. But yeah, Moto2 was very good. Moreira, very impressed as well.
Mega.
And Tony is just not. Tony in those tyres. Tony's tyres. He just can't.
Can't do it.
Do you know what, though? How he looked in the first 2/3 of that race was the old Tony Arbolino. And people clearly rate him, though, because the commentators and everything were like, it's just so refreshing to see him back up here again. I do think a lot of people rate him, and on Twitter and stuff like that, I was seeing a lot of comments like that too. But I think, where did Senna Aegis finish as well? 11th. I think the fall off from those tires is like jumping off a cliff.
Yeah, it's exponential.
Alonso Lopez didn't finish great again. There's issues there, and I think as much as Sachsenring is a leveler, those tires killed a lot of performance for quite a few riders by the end of that race, because I think Tony Arbolino could have fought for the win if he'd managed his tires better. But I'm wondering the difference between the riders who are able to manage the tires and the riders who aren't. I'd love to know what's going on there.
Well, I think especially at Sachsenring, those that spent maybe 4, 5, 6 laps in a good battle, they were going to struggle. Whereas like Dixon, for example, and Furman, they had a lot of clear track for a long time where they were just clicking off laps.
Yeah.
They were able to look after the tyres. I think Dixon was actually really smart, and he was intentional with that, he didn't get involved because he knew that the tires were gonna get cooked, and it paid off. So yeah, that was a really big thing this weekend for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think Fermin and Jake were the two smartest by a country mile. Like, you could see it by the end of the race that they had planned up to pretty much perfection.
I think so too. They, like, especially Dixon using his experience as well with the Pirellis in general.
Yeah,
I think
true.
Dixon is a bit of an advantage, obviously, with World Superbike and BSB experience. And so, yeah, second place for Dixon, not surprised. I think it's just a bit of an adjustment period for most of them. And it seems like, to me, that the Bosco Scuro works the best on the Pirellis as well.
Yeah.
If you compare this year to last year,
Yeah.
the biggest, how many Bosco Scuros are often in the top 5? It's like all the time.
Four of them.
Yeah. So it's and the biggest difference is these Pirellis. So it just seems to be that is a good match. It's a good package, as they say.
Well, yeah, top 5 of the championship is Bosco's Bosco, Joe Roberts, then Bosco again.
Well, there you go.
And it's MT helmets 1, 2, and then it's 4, 5 is the speed up bikes. So
yeah, and I mean, I think Alonso Lopez is the only one who sort of has been having a couple off weekends recently. That is, Fermin Aldeguer's definitely stepped up his performance from the start of the season, and the MT helmets guys are, 1 and 2 in the championship. But I think
very consistent.
Yeah, the good thing about Moto2 is I think after the last 2 race weekends, it's sort of opened up the championship again. Like, we haven't had a clear standout performer, and no one started to run away with it in Moto2. But when you actually look at the points, Moto2 is the most exciting in the sense of now heading into the second half of the season. Exactly what I said about MotoGP. There's a lot of riders here that are going to be looking at this as like a clean slate and having points to prove and needing seats for next season. So I think it could get very, very interesting. And now with however many races under their belts, a couple weeks off, reset, boom, you've got knowledge now on the new tires. Yeah, I think I think Silverstone could be like almost like a new start to the season almost.
Yeah.
For a lot of riders.
Like regroup, reset, get back on it.
Yeah. We could see some different names up there, I think.
I agree. Then, speaking of standout riders running away with it, David Alonso, 6 wins out of 9 races, 179 points in first, second place with 121, with Ivan Ortola and Holgado leapfrogging Via, who crashed and was second in the championship, and now he is 4th.
Gosh.
Kick a man while he's down, like.
That's brutal.
But Alonso is flying at the moment.
Yeah, he's making them look a bit silly,
like,
isn't
he'll win the championship by, like, Mazzano in this race. He's so good.
Probably not far off.
Yeah, I wonder how early he can win it.
179 minus 121 is 58 points. So at the moment, he can win it in Thailand, which is 3 rounds to go. But if he carries on like this, I genuinely think Japan, maybe even Indonesia, is a potentiality, which is nuts.
Stop saying that. You've said that before. It's not a word.
Possibility. Sorry.
Potentiality.
That's not the first time you said that.
Adding syllables. Love it.
But yeah, Moto3 very good. Forrest took his second podium of the year. The little pocket rocket is on fire. His riding style is ace as well. I do like that.
What a dude.
I mean, he took another trip through the gravel trap again this weekend.
Yeah. And still got second.
Yeah, what are you going to do about it? Do you know what I mean? Like, sometimes.
He's just like, deal with it.
I feel like that's just like a ritual for him. He has to do that midway through the race and then boom, back on it again.
He's looking after the tyres. So.
That's it. That's it.
Cooling them off.
He's doing like a Mario Kart little power up and putting gravel on
maybe
track
someone's throwing bananas at him. Maybe that's what it is.
That's it. Yeah, he's smashing it.
Oh, he was so good.
But yeah, going into the predictions. So,
can I just go? Can I Can I log off? 'Cause
Yeah,
I don't
so-
know. My ego can't handle this, if I'm honest.
So, heading into Sachsenring, I led with 373 points, Cameron with 331 in second, and Lauren with 276. In the Moto3 race, we all picked Alonso, Rueda, and Ortola on pole, and it was Via. And in the race, it was Alonso for Sato, then Ortola. I went for Alonso via Ortola, so I got 41. Cameron went via Ortola Munoz, so he gets a fat 0. And Lauren went Alonso Ortola via. So you get 25 points.
Yeah.
So I now lead with 414. Cameron 331. Lauren 301. Moto 2 is Vietti on pole. No points scored. In the race, it was Aldeguer, Dixon, and Agura. I got Aldeguer, Agura, Chantra, so I get 25 points. Cameron went Agura, Garcia, Aldeguer, 0 points. Lauren went Aldeguer, Arbolino, Agura for 41 points. So now it's me with 439, Lauren with 342, there we go, and Cameron with 331. In MotoGP, there's no point recapping it because the only points scored was Jorge Martin on pole by Lauren.
Hey!
So now we lead Sachsenring with myself leading with 439, Lauren with 452, and Cameron still on 331.
Can you believe it?
Wow.
Binned it all weekend.
Yeah, not
Shocking.
a single. Finish that in the gravel trap.
Listen, what did I say last week? I was like, I'm gonna languish here at this. I've plateaued, and clearly, that was the only correct prediction I made last week.
Mm-hmm.
Do you know what? Well, I said something along the lines of I just need one of you guys to make a mistake
Mm.
and I have a
And you
good
back in it?
weekend. And somehow, for once in my
That's it.
life, well, actually, the second time, because I led the predictions at the very start of the year, let's not forget.
It's true.
But for the second time now, ever, I managed to have a decent enough weekend.
And I now have 108 points between me and Cameron.
Yeah.
And do you know what? Like, obviously, it would be me that has the off weekend. It wouldn't be
Yeah,
Deck.
not Declan. I
It
know.
wouldn't be Deck.
I know.
No.
Typical.
Well, you know, it's talent.
Do you know
can't,
what, though?
Teach talent.
You're an ick.
I know.
You're literally a walking red flag.
I know.
I think a lot of predictions were very close though,
Mm.
because like Moto 3, I just had the wrong people in the wrong place. Apart from Bayer, but like I had Ortola on the podium, just in the wrong place. Same for you,
Yeah.
Cameron. So I think we sort of had the right idea of who was going to be up there, but apart from
Rueda was nearly on the
MotoGP,
podium.
yeah.
And Cameron had Agura and Aldeguer, just in the wrong order.
Yeah, exactly.
That is the pain of this new point system.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I would have got
that's
some
it.
points at least last
Yeah.
year, but here we are.
Mm-hmm.
Deck has once again wangled it.
So
in his
that
favour.
it
Look at it.
favors him. I know.
Look at him
How
go.
does it favourite me?
I
when
said
that's 3
this.
years in a row
No,
now.
Look, I said this that when we were changing the point system, that it was still gonna end up the same way.
Yeah.
because I'm getting them right. Fun enough, when you get them right, you get points. It's crazy.
Well,
concept,
yeah,
I
like
know.
I've got enough points this weekend to overtake Cameron, but like I'm not enthralled by it, knowing that Declan also had a good weekend.
Yeah, but you
like,
could also get
It's tainted.
all correct
It's
and get
tainted
100
my
points.
good weekend.
I'm just the one that goes with the kind of left field predictions. It is my curse. I carry this burden and I must deal with Deck
Yeah.
in such a way and not let him get to me. And
Like
here we
I
are.
do. Yeah.
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 And here you are.
I mean, yeah. I'm not gonna let it go to my head just yet. That
Yeah.
I'm
No.
second, because
Honestly, if at Silverstone we are watching these bikes cross the line and my predictions have not come to fruition and Dex have, oh boy, hold me back. You know?
Oh, like it will be a full boxing match. Like, and I
yeah.
stand by
Straight
it.
over the pit wall. Yeah.
Yeah.
I will support it too.
Okay, then. It's fine.
So it's okay.
Perfect.
Yeah, if I have a bad weekend and Declan has a good weekend, just know, Declan, that you will regret us coming to
Great.
Silverstone.
You owe me some chips.
A £5 a pop chips or
Yeah.
whatever it is.
Yeah,
£10.
that's it. That's why it's a punishment. Yeah.
Bloody hell. Yeah, I think that's all we've got time for.
Yeah, I think that's it. I've got 3 weeks
Yeah.
before Silverstone.
I know.
Yeah, and keep an eye out because things might be different by the time we arrive at Silverstone. That's all I'm saying.
Oh,
What a
maybe
tease.
that is it. Yeah, we need some dramatic music over that. Or like
Du-du-du.
the EastEnders ending.
Oh, God.
Yeah, things may be different, and then mic drop, EastEnders theme.
Yeah, that's it.
Yes.
We'll leave that with you.
Ah.
And yeah, thank you for listening. We're back next time. Goodbye.
Bye.
Bye.